I am Jarvis, your storyteller. Welcome to the Science Fiction Exploration. If you like the story, please subscribe to our channel.
The mining transport Horizon's Edge drifted silently through the Kepler 286 asteroid belt, its massive hull casting long shadows across the tumbling rock formations. Marcus Reyes checked the sensor arrays for the 100th time that shift, his fingers drumming a steady rhythm against the worn control panel. After 15 years of deep space mining, he thought he'd seen everything the cold vacuum could throw at him. He was wrong. The first anomaly appeared as a faint, irregular energy signature buried beneath the background radiation of the asteroid field. Most pilots would have dismissed it as sensor interference or a dormant mineral deposit. But Marcus had developed an instinct over years of traversing the most remote corners of human-explored space. "Computer, enhance Sector 7 Delta," he muttered, adjusting the long-range scanners. The holographic display flickered, zooming into a cluster of asteroids that seemed unremarkable at first glance. There, a hint of asymmetry. A reflection that didn't quite match the crystalline structure of surrounding rock formations. "Run a detailed spectral analysis," Marcus commanded, leaning forward. The ship's AI hummed to life, multispectrum sensors probing the distant anomaly. Minutes passed. Then a ping. "Unidentified vessel detected," the AI reported in its clinical tone. "Structural integrity compromised. Life support systems at critical levels." Marcus felt the familiar surge of adrenaline. Rescue operations in the asteroid belt were rare, and often fatal. The unforgiving environment claimed more lives than it saved. But something about this signature felt different. He toggled the communication systems. Standard distress frequencies returned nothing but static. Whatever, or whoever, was out there wasn't using human communication protocols. "Plot an intercept course," he instructed the AI. "Maintain maximum caution." The Horizon's Edge began its careful approach, maneuvering between massive tumbling rocks with the precision of a surgeon. Marcus activated the external floodlights, illuminating the darkness. First, he saw fragments. Twisted metal. Shattered energy conduits. Then, slowly, the outline of a vessel emerged, unlike anything in human records. Its design defied conventional engineering, with smooth curves that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. "Scanning for life signs," the AI reported. A pause. Longer than usual. "One life sign detected. Biological structure, non-human. Vitals, unstable." Marcus studied the readouts. The alien vessel had been adrift for weeks, maybe months. Its hull was scarred by micrometeorite impacts, energy systems flickering on the very edge of total failure. "Prepare emergency extraction protocols," he said, his voice steady despite the magnitude of what was unfolding. The rescue pod deployed with practiced precision. Marcus watched through external cameras as it approached the alien vessel. Specialized cutting lasers began to create an entry point, careful not to compromise the remaining structural integrity. What emerged was nothing like the simplistic alien depictions in old science fiction. The being was roughly humanoid but with features that suggested something entirely alien. Iridescent skin that seemed to shift colors with each movement. Multiple respiratory openings along its torso. Eyes that reflected light in impossible geometric patterns. It was alive. Barely. Marcus guided the extraction carefully, years of training overriding the tsunami of questions racing through his mind. First, survival. Then understanding. As the alien was transferred to the medical bay, Marcus realized his life, and potentially the trajectory of human exploration, had just changed forever. The universe, it seemed, was about to get a lot more interesting. The medical bay of the Horizon's Edge hummed with the soft pulse of advanced life support systems. Marcus watched through the reinforced glass as Dr. Elena Rodriguez worked meticulously, her augmented reality interface displaying a holographic representation of the alien's complex physiological structure. "This is beyond anything we've ever encountered," Elena muttered, more to herself than to Marcus. Her fingers danced across holographic controls, adjusting complex medical nanobots that drifted around the alien's body like microscopic guardians. The alien, which they had yet to communicate with, remained in a state between consciousness and complete shutdown. Its iridescent skin continued to shift colors, a mesmerizing display that seemed to respond to internal biological processes neither human understood. Marcus leaned against the observation window, his mining-hardened hands pressed against the cool surface. "Can it survive?" he asked. Elena didn't immediately respond. She was tracing intricate neural pathways that seemed to branch in three-dimensional patterns completely alien to human biology. "Survival isn't guaranteed," she said finally. "But its cellular regeneration capabilities are extraordinary." A warning light flashed on the medical interface. The alien's respiratory system was struggling, its multiple breathing chambers working in a complex rhythm that human medical technology could barely comprehend. "We need to establish communication," Marcus said. "If it dies, we lose our only chance to understand." The alien's eyes snapped open. They were nothing like human eyes. Geometric patterns of light and color swirled within what appeared to be optical organs, creating a kaleidoscopic effect that was both beautiful and deeply unsettling. Multiple sets of eyelids, if they could be called that, blinked in an asynchronous pattern. Elena's hand instinctively moved to the emergency containment switch. Years of xenobiological training had prepared her for first contact scenarios, but nothing could truly prepare someone for this moment. The alien's body trembled. Its skin rippled with colors that seemed to communicate some form of internal emotional state, blues of apparent pain, flashes of red suggesting distress, subtle greens that might indicate curiosity. Marcus activated the Universal Translation Matrix, a sophisticated AI system designed to decode communication patterns across known and unknown species. The device had been standard equipment on deep space vessels for decades, but had rarely been used for actual first contact. A synthesized voice emerged, mechanical yet carrying subtle nuances that suggested complex linguistic programming. "Survival, uncertain," the translation matrix interpreted. "Vessel, compromised. Pursuit, imminent." Elena and Marcus exchanged a quick glance. The alien was warning them about something. "What is pursuing you?" Marcus asked, speaking clearly and slowly. The alien's skin flickered, a pattern of deep purple and metallic silver that the translation matrix struggled to interpret. Another burst of synthesized speech followed. "Collective, seeks artifact. Cannot allow retrieval. Destruction, preferable." The medical sensors began to spike. The alien was exerting itself, pushing its already fragile condition to communicate something of extreme importance. Marcus realized they were now more than rescuers. They had become unwitting participants in a conflict whose scope they couldn't yet comprehend. "We can help," he said, hoping the universal sentiment would translate. "But first, you must survive." The alien's multiple respiratory chambers began to stabilize. Its color patterns shifted, a gradient of blues and greens that the translation matrix tentatively interpreted as acceptance. Trust. Perhaps even hope. Outside the medical bay's window, the asteroid belt continued its eternal dance. Massive rocks tumbled in silent choreography, indifferent to the momentous interaction unfolding within the horizon's edge. Something was coming. Something that had pursued this alien across vast stretches of space. And now, Marcus and his crew were directly in its path. The real journey was just beginning. 3 standard cycles after the rescue, the alien, who had introduced itself through the translation matrix as Zywaxera, began to share fragments of its knowledge. The medical bay had transformed into an impromptu research station, with Elena and Marcus working alongside the recovering alien in shifts. The artifact is not a weapon, Zewexera explained, its skin pulsing with a complex pattern of blues and silvers. It is a repository. A memory core containing the collective experiences of my people. Marcus adjusted the holographic display, mapping out the alien's intricate descriptions. The universal translator worked overtime, converting not just words but complex conceptual information that seemed to transcend linear communication. Elena's augmented reality interface flickered with cascading data streams. Your technology suggests a level of quantum information storage we've never conceived, she said, her voice a mixture of scientific excitement and professional restraint. Zewexera's skin shifted to a warm amber, a color the translation matrix had begun to associate with pride. We do not measure technology as your species does. For us, knowledge is a living organism. It adapts. It grows. The medical bay's sophisticated equipment told a story of remarkable adaptation. Zewexera's cellular structure was unlike anything in human medical records. Nanoscale structures within its body could reconfigure themselves, healing damage and integrating foreign technologies with impossible efficiency. The collective that pursues me, Zewexera continued, seeks to suppress knowledge. They believe in controlled information. Stagnation disguised as stability. Marcus leaned forward. The mining engineer in him recognized something fundamental, a resistance to imposed limitations. And you're fighting against that? A burst of crimson and electric blue rippled across Zewexera's skin, an emotional response the translation matrix interpreted as defiance mixed with profound determination. Meanwhile, the Horizon's Edge continued its trajectory through the asteroid belt, Marcus having rerouted their course to a series of remote navigation points. The ship's advanced stealth systems, originally designed for avoiding mineral claim disputes, now served a far more critical purpose. Elena began connecting Zewexera's biological data to the ship's systems. What started as a medical analysis quickly became something more, a mutual technological exchange that challenged everything both human and alien understood about innovation. Look at this, Elena said, bringing up a holographic representation of Zewexera's neural network. The way its cognitive processes distribute information, it's not linear. It's more like a three-dimensional lattice that can reshape itself in real time. Zewexera's response came with a cascade of colors that seemed to dance across its skin. Your species sees technology as a tool. We see it as an extension of consciousness. Marcus watched the exchange, understanding that they were witnessing something unprecedented. Humanity had always dreamed of first contact, but the reality was far more complex than any science fiction scenario. A warning indicator flashed on the ship's long-range sensors. Something was approaching, massive, and moving with purpose. They're coming, Zewexera said, its skin turning a deep, urgent purple. The collective has found us. Marcus checked the weapon systems. A mining vessel was never truly unarmed, but they were far from a military craft. Elena continued her data analysis, her fingers moving with increasing speed across the holographic interface. Zewexera's final words hung in the air, a challenge and a promise. Now, we fight. Together. Outside, the asteroid belt seemed to grow quiet. As if the very fabric of space was holding its breath, waiting for what would come next. The Horizon's Edge transformed from a mining vessel into a makeshift defensive platform. Marcus had seen combat before, not in wars, but in the cutthroat world of deep space mineral claims, but this was different. This was survival. Zewexera stood at the primary sensor array, its body now a constantly shifting mosaic of colors that seemed to interface directly with the ship's systems. Elena watched in fascination as quantum-level communications passed between the alien and the ship's computer. The collective approaches with three vessel types, Zewexera explained, its skin rippling with tactical information. Conversion ships. Suppression vessels. And a command structure that operates like a hive mind. Marcus pulled up the sensor data. What appeared on the holographic display was nothing short of terrifying. Massive ships that seemed to blend organic and technological elements, moving with a synchronicity that defied individual ship navigation. How do we fight something like this? Marcus muttered. Elena was already working, her augmented reality interface spinning with complex calculations. We don't fight them conventionally. We outsmart them. Ziwexera's response came as a burst of electric blue and silver. The collective believes in overwhelming force. They do not understand adaptive strategy. The mining vessel's original purpose now became an unexpected advantage. Years of navigating treacherous asteroid fields had given Marcus skills that conventional military pilots could never develop. He could read spatial relationships, predict movement, understand the subtle dance of massive objects in zero-gravity environments. We're going to use the asteroid belt as our battlefield, Marcus declared, bringing up a three-dimensional tactical display. They're expecting a direct confrontation. We'll give them something else entirely. Elena began modifying the ship's mining lasers. Originally designed to cut through dense mineral formations, she was recalibrating them into precision cutting tools that could become defensive weapons. Ziwexera assisted, its biological understanding of energy systems allowing for modifications humans would never have conceived. The artifact I carry, Ziwexera said, contains more than just memory. It's a key. A potential solution to the collective's expansion. Marcus noticed the way Ziwexera's skin darkened, a color pattern the translation matrix had begun to associate with deep emotional weight. Sacrifice. Determination. The first wave of collective vessels began to emerge from quantum shift space. They were unlike any human design, massive constructs that seemed to breathe, to pulse with an internal life force. Tendrils of energy connected the ships, suggesting a communication method far beyond radio or quantum signaling. They'll try to assimilate first, Ziwexera warned. Conversion is their primary strategy. Technological and biological absorption. Elena had finished her modifications. The horizon's edge now bristled with improvised defensive systems. Mining lasers. Quantum disruptors salvaged from Ziwexera's damaged vessel. Asteroid navigation systems repurposed as evasive maneuvers. We're ready, Marcus said, his voice calm despite the approaching storm. Ziwexera's skin flashed a brilliant gold, a color the translation matrix interpreted as hope. Determination. Unity. The first collective vessels entered weapons range. Space around the horizon's edge began to distort, energy weapons charging with a frequency that seemed to make reality itself tremble. They're coming, Ziwexera said. Marcus gripped the navigation controls. Elena finished her final system checks. The battle for survival was about to begin. The first wave of collective vessels struck like a quantum tsunami. Space itself seemed to warp around their approach, reality bending under the pressure of technologies beyond human comprehension. Marcus drove the horizon's edge with a precision that defied conventional piloting. What would have been suicidal for any other ship became a dance of survival. He used the asteroid belt like a living shield, each massive rock a potential weapon, each trajectory a calculated risk. Quantum entanglement detected. Elena shouted, her hands flying across multiple holographic interfaces. They're attempting to synchronize our ship's systems. Ziwexera's body erupted in a cascade of defensive colors, deep purples and electric blues that seemed to generate a protective field around their vessel. Resist the synchronization, the alien warned. Once they connect, individuality is lost. The mining lasers Elena had modified became precision instruments of survival. Each burst was calculated, each shot designed to disrupt the collective's interconnected vessel network. Where a conventional military vessel would have fired blindly, the horizon's edge struck with surgical precision. Their communication network is their weakness, Ziwexera explained, its skin now a complex algorithm of tactical information. They think as one. But that means a single disruption can cascade through their entire fleet. Marcus understood immediately. In the mining world, he'd seen how a small structural failure could compromise an entire asteroid extraction operation. This was the same principle, just on a cosmic scale. The collective vessels began to manifest energy tendrils, biological technological appendages that sought to connect, to assimilate, to consume. But Marcus was already moving, using the asteroid belt's complex gravitational interactions as both shield and weapon. "Elena, prepare the quantum disruptor," he called out. "Zwexera, can you help calibrate?" The alien skin shifted to a collaborative gold and silver. "We will modify. Not destroy. Disrupt." What happened next was nothing short of miraculous. The quantum disruptor, originally a piece of Zwexera's damaged vessel, was transformed. Elena's human engineering met the aliens' advanced conceptual understanding. The device became more than a weapon. It became a surgical instrument of technological separation. The first collective vessel to be hit didn't explode. It simply came apart. Not violently, but methodically. Its interconnected systems failed, its biological technological components losing their fundamental cohesion. "They cannot comprehend individual action," Zwexera said, its voice carrying a note of something almost like excitement. "Collective thinking depends on unified response. We are introducing chaos." More vessels began to falter. Not destroyed, but disconnected. Rendered ineffective by a strategy that went against everything in their programming. Marcus realized they were doing more than fighting. They were teaching. A massive collective command vessel emerged from quantum space, a behemoth that made the previous ships look like mere scouts. Its surface was a living, breathing network of technological and biological components. "That's their central intelligence," Zwexera warned. "If we can disrupt its core, we might stop the entire attack," Elena finished. The Horizon's Edge was no longer just a mining vessel. It had become something else. A symbol of resistance. Of adaptability. Of the fundamental human, and now alien, ability to face the impossible and find a way through. Space around them became a canvas of strategic chaos. Asteroids redirected. Energy weapons diverted. The very fabric of the battlefield reshaping with each passing moment. The final confrontation was about to begin. The command vessel of the collective loomed like a living nightmare. Its surface pulsed with billions of interconnected biological and technological threads, each movement suggesting a consciousness beyond human comprehension. Marcus's hands moved with a precision born of years in navigating treacherous asteroid fields. "We're not just fighting," he muttered, "we're proving something." Zwexera's skin rippled with understanding. "Individuality," the alien translated, "is our greatest strength." Elena had been working silently, integrating the artifact Zwexera carried with the Horizon's Edge's systems. What had begun as a mysterious object was now transforming into something more, a key to understanding, to communication, to possibility. The quantum disruptor, their improvised weapon of last resort, began to charge. But this was no ordinary attack. Elena and Zwexera had transformed it into something else entirely, a communication device capable of breaking through the collective's unified consciousness. "We're going to show them something they've never experienced," Elena explained, her voice steady despite the massive vessel bearing down on them. The first pulse was silent. No visible weapon discharge, no traditional energy burst. Instead, a wave of pure information cascaded through space, a message that transcended language, that spoke directly to the fundamental nature of consciousness. The collective's command vessel shuddered. Memories flooded outward. Not just Zwexera's memories, but a confluence of experiences, Marcus's years of mining, navigating impossible spaces. Elena's scientific curiosity. The struggles of survival. The beauty of individual choice. They're experiencing empathy, Zwexera said, its skin shifting through colors humans could barely perceive. Something their collective consciousness has never allowed. The massive vessel began to fragment. Not through destruction, but through understanding. Individual sections of the collective began to separate. Not as an act of defeat, but of awakening. They were seeing, truly seeing, for the first time. Marcus watched in awe as space around them transformed. The rigid, interconnected network of the collective began to dissolve, replaced by something more dynamic. More alive. We didn't destroy them, Elena realized. We freed them. Zwexera's response came as a burst of colors that spoke of hope, of possibility. Individuality is not weakness. It is the greatest strength of any intelligent species. As the last remnants of the collective's command vessel dissipated, something remarkable happened. Fragments of their technology began to integrate with the horizon's edge, not as an invasion, but as a form of communication. A gift. The artifact Zwexera carried was more than a repository of memories. It was a catalyst, a tool for understanding that transcended the boundaries of species, of consciousness itself. What now? Marcus asked, looking at Elena and Zwexera. The alien skin shifted to a color of pure potential, a blend of gold, silver, and something entirely new. Now, Zwexera said, we explore. Outside the viewport, the asteroid belt continued its eternal dance. But something had changed. The universe felt larger. More full of possibility. The horizon's edge sailed forward, no longer just a mining vessel. It was a beacon of something greater, a testament to the power of individual choice, of cooperation, of understanding. Humanity had just taken its first true step into a larger universe.